Shalom, shalom, beloved. I want to welcome you again back to our studies on restoration of true worship and righteous living. Today is the 16th of February, it's a Sunday, and I thought that let me make up for the time, because time doesn't seem to be on our side, and we can do a few presentations on this day so that we might be able to catch up with time, but we will never be able to do that until Yah himself has empowered this message and is driven by the power of his Ruach HaKodesh. When people start to understand the truth about restoration of true worship and righteous living, when we have experienced our Shavuot, our Pentecost, when Yah has poured his spirit to convict his own people, then this message is going to run like a wildfire. And those who are going to be saved, they will accept the truth of true worship, and they will accept the message of today. They will accept who is to be worshipped and leave out these pagan systems of worship and stick to thus saith Yahweh and live and worship according to his instructions. That's the prayer that we have, and we will continue to share what Yah has revealed to me, and I want you to examine it and test it and see if it is so or not so. Do your own diligence, study your own scriptures, and compare. At least I'm giving you a ground on which you can actually do your studies on, right? Because if no one shares anything that is contrary to what you have, you are likely not going to try and find more information. But when someone points out something, then you've got a reference of study. You've got something to base your study from. You've got something to base your investigation from. So yeah, today we are going to continue with when is worship conducted. So for us to know and understand the times of worship, we need to go back into the scriptures, right? What is the primary component of the times of worship? I'm not going to deal with the seconds, minutes, and hours. Today, we're going to start with the primary component, which is the day. So we need to know when the day starts and ends so that we can rightly be at the appointed time as it is required of by Yah himself, the one that created us. Remember, the times of worship in the understanding of the Hebrew, they are considered as appointed times. It's like a lover or two lovers. They've got to have times of their own appointments. You can't miss the time of appointment. This is it. When you're in love, you can never be able to miss those times of appointments. So Yah has given his bride times of appointments, right? It's not just one day in a week. Now we've got a weekly appointment, we've got monthly appointments, we've got the annual appointments. And so these appointments, they form the cycle of worship program, worship calendar. Now, many people would ask, but why talk about when the day starts? It's obvious to everyone that the day starts when in the morning, and a new day is always starting in the morning. What's the fuss about doing a day start in the scriptures? But you see, the problem is you don't know that there are religious people that have been taught that the day starts at night. And it is these people, because you see, primarily these people, they keep the Sabbath, which is the actual weekly day of worship according to Yahweh. But the times, the allocation of the times, of the seasons, of the time, of the day itself, they've done it vice versa. They've been taught by Jewish pagan systems of worship. You see, the Jews, just like the Romans, they've tainted worship. The Jews, just like Romans, they've stolen from all other nations. The Jews, just like Romans, they are steeped into paganism. They use the Talmudic teachings as the basis of their worship. And therefore, you'll find that whatever they do, it is laced with paganism in it. And so we want to look at the scriptures. Thus saith Yahweh, what does he say about his day? What does he say about his day? Beloved, this is the time more than ever that we should be restored to true worship and righteous living. Prophecy is fulfilling, and is fulfilling very fast. The end of the kingdom of Ahashatan is upon us. Some of us who are walking on this earth now are going to experience the events of the end of the kingdom of Ahashatan. Yah is so faithful. What he has told us beforehand is happening. And if it's happening, I believe every word of Yahweh. I believe it with all my heart. I will tell you now, the system in this world is moving very fast towards establishing governments that are religio-political systems. We've been led by purely demonic, tyrannical political systems all these years, right? Very secular in nature, right? With their own fair share of wickedness and evil. But now, because now the battle of worship is getting to its end, Ahashatan has caused so much suffering in the peoples through these demonic political systems that have been ruling on this earth. And now people are so desperate to be relieved of the pressures, of the afflictions, right, that they've been subjected to by these political systems, these demonic political systems that are ruling on this earth. Now, when one has been praised like that, and then someone comes with a pseudo relief, right? Something that looks like a relief, and everyone, and especially if it comes in the name of religion, and everyone is shouting, God is in it, God is in it. In all these things that are happening on this earth, the religious people have been hoodwinked to think that Yah is in the things that are happening right now. But I must tell you something. The devil is very clever. He is the one that inflicted the pain. He's the one that inflicted the pressures. He is the one that inflicted the tyrannical systems upon us. And he is the same one who is coming up with a solution to our problems. I wish you could realize that. And so the solutions that he's bringing about are religio-political solutions, right? In other words, he's coming up with his own religio-political systems, which eventually, or not eventually, which are forcing us to worship the devil in the Christian systems of worship. And so right now in the States, they are trying to lobby for laws to make sure that Christianity is put as a religion that must be obeyed and done, practiced by all, by force. And so there is a lot of running around that is taking place, right? Laws are being pushed through, and if they lose, they come with the laws in another form. So they want the scriptures, or they want the Bible to be taught in the schools. They want the 10 Commandments to be taught in the schools. And when they lose on that, now they are forcing in Dakota. I think I was hearing they are saying that in the state of Dakota, they want to make a law that Jesus is king, that everyone must worship Jesus. So you can see the government in the states is moving, is shuffling things all over the place, and they are heading towards making laws to make sure that Christianity is accepted as a religion. You know what? They are losing now in their parliaments or whatever, Senate is, or Senate. They are losing, but very soon there will be crisis that will come, and the people will be told that all these crises are coming because we have reneged on worshiping the Creator. And so, if we worship, right, these problems we are facing they will stop. We will not want to worship so that problems stop. We will not want to worship so that problems can stop. No one. But that's the trick of the devil, and that's what is happening. That is what is coming to this earth. And so what has happened in the States is also going to happen in all other countries, especially the so-called Christian countries. So the so-called Christian countries are going to be relieved of their dictators, and new systems are going to come up, and they'll be shouting, God is in it, God is in it, right? In those systems that are coming. Little do they know that this is the preparation of the enforcement of the mark of the beast, because anything that you claim that God is in it, I can assure you the devil is pulling the strings in these nations. And he wants to be worshipped. You need to be wise. There's no better time for us to be restored to true worship than now, so that we may be wise and we may know what is coming onto this earth. It's imperative that we stay in the word, because this time more than ever is the time that we should be restored to true worship and righteous living. Ominous events are taking place at a rapid succession, and that impels thinking men and women to look forward to an unavoidable resetting of all things. The present, beloved, is a time of overwhelming interest to all who are living. Anyone who is thinking, who is seeing, can clearly see that things are no longer the same. Something is about to happen. Rulers and statesmen, men who occupy positions of trust and authority, thinking men and women of all classes, have their attention fixed upon the events that are taking place about us. They are watching the relations that exist among nations. They observe the intensity that is taking possession of every earthly element, and they recognize that something great and decisive is about to take place. That the world is on the verge of a stupendous crisis. The scripture, beloved, and the scriptures alone can give us a correct view of these things. If we are going to correctly interpret them, it must be based upon what the scriptures have said. Here in the scriptures are revealed the great final scenes in the history of our world. The sound of their approach causing the earth to tremble and men's hearts to fail them for fear can be heard. It's rumbling. There is a rumbling sound that is coming. Today, men and nations are being tested by the plummet in the hand of him who makes no mistake. All are, by their own choice, deciding their destiny, and Yahweh is overruling all for the accomplishment of his purpose. Yah wants to save us. That's why he is staying the four winds. He is stopping these four winds from blowing, right? So that the truth may be preached and so that people can be given the opportunity to make their own choices. Yahweh is creating a situation for us to hear the truth so that we may be saved. Believers should be preparing for what is soon to break upon the world as an overwhelming surprise. And this preparation they should make by diligently studying the word of Yahweh and striving to conform their lives to that word, to its precepts, to its statutes, because that alone is going to conform us to the standard that Yah has put. So there we are. We need to prepare ourselves. We need to know the truth. Without the truth, there is no way we can be prepared for what is coming to the world. When we have truth, we have wisdom, we have understanding, so we cannot be deceived. But for as long as we don't have the truth, we are liable to be deceived by demonic forces and powers that are moving upon this earth. And I'm coming and saying today, we need to know when worship should be conducted. But for us to know the sequence of times it is imperative that we should understand Yahweh's creation, this home that we live in, our greater home. Scriptures, they show us clearly how the earth is. But unfortunately, we've been bombarded by satanic teachings from grade 1, right up to we become adults. In every class that you go in, you find there is a globe on the teacher's table. And we are taught that we live on a ball that is revolving around the sun at about 2,500 kilometers per hour. And it is also spinning on its axis. Can you imagine how much dizzy one can feel living in a place like that? And with that dizziness, you can easily become a zombie and be controlled, isn't it? So they infuse a feeling of dizziness in us. We are deceived about the home that we stay, the home that Yahweh created for us. And even the terms that we use in our descriptions, we say the earth is a planet. It's plane, right? It's on a plane. And yet we somehow, when we are taught these satanic teachings, we believe that hook, line, and sinker. Now, if we have got to know and understand the nature of creation, we need to understand the greater home that we live in. Yeshayahu 40, verse 22, it reads thus: "It is he that sitteth upon the cycle, or the circle, not cycle, upon the circle of the earth, and the inhabitants thereof are as grasshoppers, that stretcheth out the heavens as a curtain, and spreadeth them out as a tent to dwell in." So, according to Yeshayahu, this earth is cyclical, right? In its pattern, right? And it does not move, right? It's not a ball, but it's a cyclical. Right? It's round, but not as a ball, but round as a circle, right? And Yahweh is sitting on top, right? So you can imagine that there is a sky here, right, above the earth, right? There is a sky above the earth. Now, the scriptures continue to tell us that the sun and the moon, they are fixed, they are not moving. Listen to this. Yet, the heliocentric theory teaches us that the sun is moving around this earth is moving around the sun. That's heliocentrism, right? But if you read, you research, you are going to find out that just 500 years ago, everyone believed and they knew that the earth is flat and fixed, right? That was the geocentric perception of the earth. And the earth is the center of all things. The earth is the greater home that Yahweh created, right? So everything must revolve around the earth, not the other way. The sun is a small light. Okay, it's bigger compared to the moon, but compared to the earth, it is a small light, like a torch that is revolving around the earth, giving light, and wherever it lives, living darkness. Right? So here is what the scripture is saying. 1 Chronicles 16 verse 30 says, "He has fixed the earth firm, immovable." Right? Psalms 93 verse 1 says, "Thou hast fixed the earth immovable and firm." Psalms 96 verse 10 it says, "He has fixed the earth firm, immovable." Psalms 104 verse 5 says, "Thou didst fix the earth on its foundation." right? So that it never can be shaken. So if this was the earth, the scriptures is saying it must have foundations. I don't know how they are like, but it must be having maybe pillars, right? Which is the foundations of the earth, right? So Yeshayahu 45:8 says, "Thou made the earth and fashioned it, and himself fixed it fast." So the earth is fixed fast, right? It doesn't move as what the heliocentric people want to teach us. This theory this theory originated from the Jesuits. And at that time, when they were originating this theory, they would kill people who were saying the opposite of what they were saying. And some people lost their lives for saying the earth is flat. And at the edges there is ice, right? There will be ice at the edges. That's the understanding. That is the belief. Okay, not belief, but that is what we are told, right? That is what is known. That is what is observable. So there is ice at the edge here. And at the edge, if you go out and look, you are going to see this circle. You will see it. And at the edge there, where there is ice, that's where the dome meets the edges of the earth. So Scripture says this earth is fixed. It doesn't move. But rather, it is the sun and the moon that move. Joshua or Yahushua 10 verse 12, it says, "Then Yahushua spoke to Yahweh in the day when Yahweh gave the Amorites over to the children of Yasharah. And he said before the eyes of Yasharah, sun, stand still over Gibeon, and the moon in the valley of Ayalon." Right? So that clearly means that the sun, if it is told to stand still, it had been moving. And our senses tell us that we see the sun moving, we see the moon moving. These senses that Yahweh has given us, has created, are better than the teachings of the Jesuits that they are peddling in our schools. They are superior. In fact, not better. They are superior. You can't compare your senses that he has created in us and the teachings, demonic teachings that are peddled by Satanists of this world. So you had better believe the scriptures and accept the reality of what you see. That which you see is the reality. You see the sun moving from the east to the west. You see the moon also moving from the east to the west. That is the correct thing. That is what is happening. There's no way you can say the earth is moving when you can see in the relative motion of the earth is fixed and the sun and the moon, they are moving. How then do you come to conclude that the earth is the one that is moving around the sun? It doesn't make sense. And verse 18, Joshua 10 verse 30 says, "So the sun stood still and the moon stopped till the nation avenged itself upon their enemies. Is this not written in the book of Yasha?" So it's very clear from scripture that the sun stood, right? If you go to Bereshit chapter 15 verse 12, it also speaks again about the sun going down, right? It went down and it was dark. So when the sun goes down, right, it's moving towards down and then it becomes dark. Ecclesiastes 1 verse 5, it says, "The sun also ariseth." It arises, right, and goeth down, and hastens to his place where he arose, right? That's what Scripture understands about the creation of Yahweh. Psalms 19 verse 4 says, "Their line is gone out through all the earth, and their ways to the end of the world. In them has he set a tabernacle for the sun," right? So there are circuits, right, in which the sun moves, which is as a bridegroom coming out of his chamber, and he rejoiceth as a strong man to run a race. His going forth is from the end of the heaven, and his circuit into the ends of it, and there is nothing hid from the heat thereof. So there we are. Scripture confirms that the sun and the moon and the stars, they move. Right. Now, let's go to Scripture. Let's go to Scripture and hear what the Scripture is saying. So, the best place to start day start studies is the book of Bereshit. It is the first verse. Right. Now, in Bereshit chapter 1, verses 1 to 5, it reads that, in the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth. Right, listen to this. This is the beginning. Yah created the heavens and the earth in the beginning. And the earth came to be formless and empty, and the darkness was on the face of the deep. And the Spirit of Elohim was moving on the face of the waters. So you imagine that this is the earth, right? And there was a sky created above the earth. Imagine that. That's the sky above the earth, right? So between the earth's surface and the sky, it was all water, right? Hence, it is called the deep. It was all water. And this earth was not yet organized. Some want to use these verses to mean that something happened between verse 1 and 2, that the devil came and destroyed the earth, and it made it formless and toe and bow. But there is no necessity or guarantee that happened from the scriptures, right? And there's no reason whatsoever why we should think that, because the interpretations that they're using the interpretations of this word in a figurative sense. Yet this is not a figurative thing. This is a literal creation. Yahweh is creating a real heaven and an earth. And when he created the heavens and the earth, Scripture says, and the earth came to be formless and empty, and darkness was on the face of the deep. So this whole space from the surface of the earth to the heavens, it was full of water, right? And it was dark, right? This darkness, there's no reason for us to think that this darkness was created. Especially when you understand that this creation in the scriptures is actually bara, right? Bara, both in Hebrew and in Bantu languages, means to create, right? It means to create, it means to give birth, right? So bara means to give birth. And when you go to Bereshit chapter 2, you are going to read that the earth and its creation is given in the context of being given birth to. The language speaks of something that is being given birth to. It speaks of generations. It speaks of genealogies, of the creations that Yahweh did. So when you understand that, and when you understand the word bara itself, you know that creation is symbolized like giving of birth of a baby. Now, when a baby is in the womb, there's no light in the womb, right? There's only waters in the womb. But when the waters break, right, the baby is ready to come out. And then the baby comes out, and then the baby appears. And listen to what scripture says. And the Spirit of Elohim was moving on the face of the waters. Right? So we are not told that darkness was created, but darkness was there as much as the Spirit of Yah was there. During this stage of creation, there is no time reckoning. Right? I want us to understand that. When it is all dark, right? hence the black color. The whole circle is what is dark. There's no time reckoning at all at this stage, right? So we can't even start talking about saying this darkness is starting the day. It's not starting the day because there's no time reckoning as yet at that particular juncture. Now listen to what Scripture says. And Elohim said, let light come to be, and light came to be. Right. Now, all this has been created and has been done, and there is darkness. Right. When you go to verse 6, actually verse 6 gives us a very powerful analogy there. You hear that Yah divided the waters, right? He divided the waters. So by creating a firmament or an expanse between the waters on top and the waters below. So you have water here, right? You have water, and below you have water. So the waters were separated by the dome or the firmament or the expanse. Now, verse 3 says, and Elohim said, let light come to be, and light came to be. Right. Verse 4, and Elohim saw the light that it was good, and Elohim separated the light from the darkness. So we know that where there is darkness, if light comes into that space, darkness is dispelled, it's removed, right? But what Yah did, according to the narrative here, is that light came into this dark space, right? And he divided, or he separated, right, light from darkness. So you have light here, right? You have light there, then you have your darkness there. They are divided. These two are divided on the earth. Right. Right. Light and darkness. Right. So light is the divider. Right. Without the light, you cannot divide. There cannot be any division. There is no dividing of the seasons of the 24-hour cycle, right? Unless, in fact, there's no dividing of these of these, the light and the darkness. It cannot be divided if it is darkness alone. But when light comes into the space, then light is allocated its space, and the darkness is allocated its space, right? And the scripture says, and Elohim called the light day, and the darkness he called night. So this darkness is called night, right? And this is called day, right? Let us understand some of these terminologies. It's very important to understand these from the Hebraic perspective. So the light, or the light is called or, right? Or. Right? That light is the one that is later on called what? Day. Now, light in Hebrew, it means illumination or concretely luminary, right? In every sense, including lightning. Figuratively, it could be happiness, right? Or bright or clear. Day, light, right? Or morning, or the sun. All those things are considered as light. But in this case, there is no sun that has been called forth here, right? There is light that comes from Yah himself, right? He is the light. That's what scriptures teach us. So this light that he puts there now is the one that brings about the divisions that the scripture is talking about. Right? The darkness that is here first, right? that darkness is called Hoshek, right? Light is O, right? Day now is Yom in Hebrew. Day is Yom. Yom in Hebrew means to be hot. I want us to understand this. Yom in Hebrew means to be what? To be hot. A day is the warm hours, whether literally from sunrise to sunset. So I want us to use the day in that understanding, in that context. So when we talk of a day, we are talking of the 12 hours of light. Okay? But when we talk of the 24 hours, we speak of them as the cycle. Right? The 24-hour cycle. And when we talk of the night, or rather darkness, this first darkness that is there, right? This first darkness. Okay, let me rather write it with a black color so that it can imitate its character, right? So this first darkness in Hebrew it is called Hoshek, right? Hoshek, right? Which is similar to Usiku in Bantu languages, right? Sounds almost the same. Hoshek, Usiku, right? Right. Then this is the darkness that is now called night here, right? Yahweh now calls the darkness night, and the night in Hebrew will be Lail, right? It can be Lail or La. La or La Le, right? As we have Lala in Bantu or Rara, right? Remember Hebrew, just like Bantu, it describes things according to their concrete use, right? The usage normally is the one that gives the name of an object, that gives the name of even time, right? So in this case, night is Lael or Lala as we call it, or Lale, right? Or Rara in Shona Bantu. Now that night was formerly darkness, right? That darkness is the one that is converted to night. And the light that came is the one that is now converted to day. In other words, we have clear divisions now of time on this cyclical earth, right? The other half is light, the other half is darkness, according to the seasons that are happening on the earth. Now, we have the other word that we have, Lala. It means that, okay, Lail, Lel, Laela, or Lale, right? From the same as Hebrew 38:83, properly to twist away, right? A twist that is away from the light. It's a twist away from the light. That is night. In other words, the darkness is a twist. It's coming away from the light. So when light came onto the earth, then darkness was moved away from the light, right? So that it can contain its own space, right? That's what the definition of the Hebrew is saying. So it can mean night, figuratively, adversity, or night season, right? Those are the four, right? Darkness, Hoshek, day, Yom, light, or darkness, night, right? So those are the four components that we start with, right? At creation. Now, Scripture then goes on to say in verse 5, so we are seeing, okay, before we go to verse 5, so we can see that the 24-hour cycle, right, is divided into these two seasons, the light season, the day, and the dark season, the night, right? Take note of that. Very crucial for us to understand the sequence of time. We need to understand that. So then Scripture says, and Elohim called the night day, and the darkness he called night. Oh, okay, I've just jumped another verse, sorry. Right. No, that's correct. And then it says, and there came to be evening, and there came to be morning one day. So when those divisions had been done, then Scripture says there came to be evening, right? Evening is Arab in Hebrew. When Yah has done this creation, right? When he has created the heavens, the earth, and has divided the times, right? We've got light, he calls it day. We've got now darkness, he calls it night. Then he says, and there came to be evening, which is Arab, and there came to be morning. Then it says day one. Day one, or the first day. This can also be shown in a linear pattern if you want. Right? If you want, we can show it in a linear pattern. I don't know whether you'll be able to see this. The linear pattern would be like that. Right? So, at first, you've got the heavens, the earth, and then it comes to be evening. Right? And then it comes to be morning. So, then in the linear pattern, you've got the heavens, the earth are created, right? And there is darkness. There is darkness here. When these are created, there is darkness. Right? The Scripture says, and there came to be evening, which is Arab, right? After finishing creating this, and there is darkness, then light comes in, right? Remember, light is called forth, and light came to be. So when light comes to be, it means that this space that was dark becomes light, because darkness cannot stay where there is light. So this space now becomes light, and then it is the one that divides the darkness, or that separates darkness from the light. So when the light is here, it is of necessity that darkness should take this space, right? Darkness then takes this space, which is going to be called night. Are you following? So this space is allocated to the darkness, which is then called night. So those are the divisions that have taken place. And then Scripture says, and there came to be evening, and there came to be morning. Then Scripture says the first 24-hour cycle, or the first day. So evening is Arab, or Arab, right? Arab, evening. And there came to be Arab, right? And there came to be night, and there came to be morning or dawn, which is Boka or Vuka, right? Boka or Vuka. That's when you wake up in the morning. So that's the linear way of doing it. The scriptures are clearly showing that when this is how the divisions are, right? This is light, and then the division of darkness, after creating all the things and allocating the seasons of the day, it came to be evening, right? Then night, then it came to be dawn, then it says day one. So what we are noticing, right? What we are noticing is that the day is ending at dawn, right? The day is ending at dawn. We need to have a new day starting at dawn. Maybe let me just show this clearly on a linear pattern. It might become clearer if we do it from a linear where we show 2 days coming at the same time. Let me just show you by a diagram so that it becomes easier for you. But what you should take note of is that creation, as you look at the sequence, creation is taking place during the light time of the 24-hour cycle, right? Creation is taking place during the light time of the 24-hour cycle. And every day in the scripture is actually ending in the morning. And a new day in the scripture is also beginning in the morning. Where the day ends, that's where the new day starts. Let's look at this diagram. It might help us to understand what I am saying here. So I'll start from day one, right? I'll start from day one, right? Let's do it this way. Right. Then we can do it. Okay, this one we should use, actually we should just use the black. Then we can start to use the blue. Right. Then we're going to use the black here. Right. Here, later on, it was dark, but later on it becomes what? Light. Because light will come in. So when light comes in, it dispels the darkness. So the first day, Yah created the heavens. He created the heavens and the earth, right? And there was darkness, right? There was darkness. There is no reckoning of time as yet. Then light comes, right? When light comes, it dispels darkness. Then light comes, it dispels the darkness. Then it is the one that is responsible for dividing, right, these divisions that are taking place on the earth. So the other half, where the light is dispelled, then the other half becomes darkness. Okay, I should have used the black color there. I think that so that we can see clearly what is actually happening. It's right, to distinguish the seasons. So this becomes the darkness, the divided darkness, which Yahweh later on calls night. Right. And then scripture says, and then it became what? It became Arab or evening. Right. And it became dawn. Right. It becomes dawn here, or we call boga, or dawn. I don't want to use the word morning. So these two twilight periods, they're Arab and boga in the Hebrew, but in the KJV they are given as evening and morning. Maybe we can use those words as well. So we can call that evening, right, referring to this period, and morning, referring to that period. So when Yah creates on the first day the heavens and the earth and the light, right, then he divides the light from the darkness, right, apportioning them in their own spaces, right? And then Scripture says it becomes to be evening, and then it came to be morning. Then it says this is one day, right? This is day one, right? Now, in the morning, we know that morning is always followed by day. That's what we observe, beloved. That's what we observe. That's what our senses tell us. So after the morning comes the day. Right. And Scripture says, listen to this. Scripture then says in verse in the next sequence, we see that the next creation series is starting there in the morning where the first day ended. Listen to this. And there came to, 1 verse 5 says, and there came to be evening, and there came to be morning, and the day is decreed, or rather the 24-hour cycle is decreed. Right. So this is the 24-hour cycle, right? It is decreed here in the morning, or in other words, it is numbered in the morning. It can't be numbered before morning. It must be numbered in the morning. The following morning that follows after the night is the mark of the end of the previous 24-hour cycle, and is marking the beginning of the next 24-hour cycle. Listen to this. Verse 5, it says, and there came to be evening, and there came to be morning one day. Right? And verse 6 picks it up from there. It says, and Elohim said, let an expanse come to be in the midst of the waters, and let it separate the waters from the waters. Right? I see the next series of creation is starting in the morning, where the previous 24-hour cycle ended. So in this day in the morning, there is the expanse created, or the firmament, right? Or the firmament is created here, right? Firmament, right? Then Scripture says, verse 7, and Yahweh continues creation. And Elohim, right, verse 7, it reads, where am I? And Elohim made the firmament, and it divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. Verse 8. And Elohim called the firmament heaven. And there came to be evening, and there came to be morning, second day. So, right. So, Elohim creates the firmament. He separates the waters from above. And then he says, and there came to be evening. Right? Arab. Evening. Or Arab, is what Strong's say. And there came to be morning. Right? Or Boka. Morning. Or Boka. Or Vuka. Right? And then he says day 2. Right. So you can see the sequence. You can see the sequence. It's going on like that. So there is a creation that must start also on day 2. I mean, at the end of day 2, right? At the end of day 2, we have another creation. Because this is Boka. So the first season here is light, right? And this is Boka as well, or Vuka, right? Then it must come to be evening, and then it is night, right? And it is morning. Sorry, it must be morning there. Morning should be represented by the blue color. I think it works out better that way. So then it comes to be morning. Then it is what? It is day, right? Then it comes to be evening, right? And then it comes to be night. Then it comes to be morning again. This comes to be morning again. So, beloved, here is what is happening. I want us to take note of what is exactly happening. So, we see that day 2, right, it starts in the morning, right? After starting in the morning, it comes to be evening. Yahweh is not creating at night. But every time he is stopping his creation in the evening. And the night follows the evening. Right? And after the night, there comes morning. Morning always follows the night. At that morning, we start day 3 creation. Right? Day 3 creation. What did Yah create on day 3? Right. It starts as well in the morning, because where day 2 ends in the morning, we also start day 3. Let's read from scripture and hear what Yahweh is saying as far as day 3 creation is concerned. I just want to give you the pattern of the sequence of reckoning of time from the scriptures, so that once you get it right, we don't have to do all the 7 days, but we just do these 4 days. And once you get the sequence, once you get the correct timings of the seasons of the day, then you won't have any confusion as to when the day starts from scripture. I'm not talking about what your church teaches. I'm talking about what the scripture is saying. That's what we should follow. So it says in verse 9, I think that's what we want to read now. Verse 10. Okay, I will just finish verse 9 and 10, right? And Elohim said, let the waters under the heavens be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear. And it came to be so. And Elohim called the dry land earth, and the collection of waters he called seas. And Elohim saw that it was good. And Elohim says, let the earth bring forth grass, and the plant yields seed, and the fruit tree that yields fruit according to its kind, whose seed is in itself on the earth. And it came to be so. And the earth brought forth grass, the plant that yields seed according to its kind, and the tree that yields fruit, whose seed is in itself according to its kind. And Elohim saw that it was good. And there came to be evening, and there came to be morning, the 3rd day. So the 3rd day, Yah did a lot of things here. Right. verse 8, we ended with Elohim called the expanse heaven, and there came to be evening, and there came to be morning, the second day, which is that. So the expanse is what is created. But the third day, starts off, right, and by gathering the waters under the heavens. He gathered together into one place, and he let the dry land appear. So there is the dry land, and there is the seas. There's the growth of the grass and the fruit trees. That is happening in day 3. Right? Day 3 has got a lot of activities that is happening. There is the dry land, right? The earth, right? And there is the seas, the collection of water, right? There is the plants and that grow on the land, right? So he starts putting plants that yield seeds and fruit trees that yield seeds. And also grass, right, that yields seed according to its kind. So there's vegetation that is being grown in day 3. And then scripture says they came to be evening. After creating all these things, it came to be evening, Arab, right? And it came to be morning, Boga, right? Then it says day 3, right? This is night, by the way. This is just night. There's no activity taking place in the night. Creation is taking place during the day. And the night is for sleeping, it's for resting. The same applies with the 4th day. And Elohim said, let lights come to be in the expanse of the heavens. Now he's filling up the heavens now. So these lights will add, right, to separate the day from the night. So there will be daylights and the night lights, right? And let them be for signs and appointed times and for days and years. So these lights that are called, so let them lights and let them be for lights in the expanse of the heavens to give light on the earth, and it came to be so. And Elohim made 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day, that is the sun, right? We see it with our own eyes, the sun. It is for ruling the day, and the lesser light to rule the night, which is the moon, right? Right? And the lesser light to rule the night, and he also created the stars, right? And the stars. So that is what comes on the 4th day. Sun, moon, and the stars. And they are allocated their own specific spaces, right? One is for day, the sun is for day, right? And these, the moon and the stars, they rule in the night, right? They are allocated to rule in the night. They are not created in the night, but they are allocated to rule in the night. And then it came to be evening, Arab, right? After completing this creation, it came to be evening, and it came to be morning, or boha. Then it is declared or decreed as the 4th day. So what we are noticing here, beloved, is that in this cyclical earth, right, we start off, right? We start off at dawn. That's where we start off, right? And we go right round. It is light. And then it comes to the evening. After the evening, then we start off the night, which also ends at dawn. That's the picture that we have. In fact, that is what we observe. Huh? So how do we then now turn things upside down? And then we say the night is the one that is starting the day. If you look closely, the night is only coming after a sequence, after a series of creation, right? The night comes, or the evening rather, comes only after a series of creation, right? So you cannot place the evening as the beginning of the creation series. The creation series must start first before you can get the evening. And it is the creation series that determines what day number it is. So that requires you, first of all, to have the creation done for that particular space of time, to have the creation done for that particular cycle of 24 hours. If that creation is not there, you cannot decree a 24-hour cycle, right? So that whole cycle, which should culminate into 24 hours, is determined by the creation that has taken place. And the creation that has taken place gives the number of the day. So in all cases that we have observed here, there is no way evening Arab can start the day, because there should be a creation before the evening comes into its own space. I'm sure someone is getting that. So that actually pushes out the concept of starting the day in the night. You cannot start the day in the night, because the night only comes after the creation, and the creation is it that determines the number of the day. I want you to get that. So next, let's look at the evening in detail. I want us to look at the evening in detail. We are